Did you know that your everyday morning routine, the same one you followed for years, might be quietly setting you up for a stroke? Most older adults in America never suspect it. They assume strokes strike suddenly out of nowhere like lightning. But after decades studying the aging brain, I can tell you the earliest warnings don't start in a hospital room. They start in your bedroom, your kitchen, your bathroom, right in the first hour after you wake up. Because after age 60, your brain enters the morning in its most fragile state. Your blood is thicker, your pressure is rising, your vessels are stiffer, and certain habits, common harmless-looking habits, can triple your stroke risk before you even pour your first cup of coffee. In this video, I'll reveal the hidden morning triggers most seniors never recognize until it's too late, and the simple changes that could protect your brain for years to come. Before we dive in, if you haven't subscribed yet, I recommend you hit that button and turn on the bell so you never miss another health tip made just for you. If you enjoy this video, type 1 in the comments. If not, type 0 to let me know how I can make better content for you. 1. Drinking coffee immediately after waking up. When I speak with my older patients here in the United States, I often begin with a question that seems harmless. What is the first thing you put into your body each morning? Most smile and answer proudly, "Doctor, my coffee. I've done it for 40 years. But after decades as a brain physician, I can tell you this familiar American morning ritual is one of the most underestimated triggers of early morning strokes in adults over 60. Here is why. During the night, your body enters a long, unbroken stretch without fluid, usually 6 to 8 hours. As we age, the body loses its ability to retain moisture efficiently, and older adults naturally wake up in a state of mild dehydration. This is not just being thirsty. In medical terms, nighttime dehydration increases blood viscosity, meaning the blood becomes thicker, slower, heavier. Thick blood forces the heart to pump harder and reduces the smooth, steady flow your brain depends on every second. Now imagine what happens when this already thick blood meets your morning cup of coffee. Caffeine, especially on an empty stomach, pulls even more water from your system. It acts as a diuretic, worsening the dehydration you already woke up with. At the same time, caffeine stimulates the sympathetic nervous system, your fight-or-flight response, creating a surge in heart rate and blood pressure just minutes after you open your eyes. For a healthy 30-year-old, that surge may not cause much trouble. But for someone over 60 whose arteries are stiffer, whose blood vessels are narrower, and whose brain is already vulnerable, this combination becomes extremely dangerous. Here's what can happen inside your body. It triggers strokes. In the early morning, blood pressure naturally rises. Add dehydration plus caffeine, and you produce a sudden spike capable of overwhelming delicate vessels in the brain. It forms blood clots. Thick, concentrated blood is far more likely to clot. When caffeine further constricts the blood vessels, the narrowing increases the chance that a clot will get stuck. And when that happens in the brain, the result is an ischemic stroke. It reduces early morning blood flow to the brain. Older adults already experience a morning dip in cerebral perfusion. Starting the day with caffeine instead of hydration deepens that dip, starving brain cells of oxygen during a period when they are the most vulnerable. I still remember an 82-year-old patient of mine from Arizona. He had no major medical problems, no smoking history, and walked a mile every day. But he began experiencing brief episodes of hand clumsiness and trouble recalling simple words at breakfast. His scans later showed he'd had small, silent TAs, tiny strokes occurring shortly after waking, his only consistent habit. He drank strong black coffee every morning before drinking a single sip of water. When we reversed that routine, water first, coffee 20 to 30 minutes later, those episodes stopped completely. This is not about giving up coffee. It's about timing. Your brain does not want stimulation the moment you wake. It wants circulation. It wants hydration. It wants safety. And if this one simple habit can quietly push a healthy older adult toward a stroke, then you must ask yourself, what other morning behaviors are silently increasing your risk without you realizing it? Because the next habit on this list is even more common yet far less talked about. If you're still watching and finding these insights helpful, please comment number 1 below to let me know you're with me. Now let's move on to point number 2. 2. Sitting too long on the edge of the bed without moving. Among my older patients here in the United States, this is one of the habits they almost never think about. They wake up, push themselves upright, sit on the edge of the bed, and stay there sometimes for 5 minutes, sometimes for 20, waiting for their body to warm up. It feels harmless, it feels gentle, but medically for adults over 60, this quiet stillness is far from harmless. In fact, it is one of the most subtle early morning conditions that triggers strokes and silently forms blood clots before you even take your first steps of the day. Let me explain why. When you sleep, blood flow slows and pools naturally in the lower part of the body. This is normal. But as we age, something important changes. The veins in our legs lose elasticity. The valves weaken and circulation becomes sluggish. So when an older adult wakes up and sits without moving, the blood that pulled during the night continues to stagnate in the legs instead of rising back toward the heart and brain. This is a dangerous moment. Your heart is trying to restore circulation after hours of lying down, but your stillness prevents that upward flow. The result is a sudden mismatch. Thick, slow-moving blood in the legs while your brain is desperately waiting for oxygen and nutrients after a long night. That's not morning grogginess. That's under circulation. And here's where the real danger begins. It triggers strokes. When blood remains trapped in the legs and fails to reach the brain efficiently, your blood pressure can spike as the heart tries to compensate. This sharp rise in pressure, especially common in older adults, can rupture fragile vessels in the brain or worsen a pre-existing blockage. It forms blood clots. Stagnant morning blood is a breeding ground for clot formation. If a clot forms in the deep veins of the legs, a single stretch or sudden movement can dislodge it and send it upward. When that clot travels to the brain, it can block a vessel instantly and cause a devastating ischemic stroke. It decreases early morning brain perfusion. Sitting still prevents the natural pump action of the calf muscles, the very mechanism your body relies on to push blood upward. Without that muscle pump, older adults experience some of the lowest morning cerebral blood flow levels of the entire day, precisely when the brain is the most fragile. I once treated a 79-year-old man from Ohio who believed he was having balance issues every morning. He described a strange fog, his hands trembling slightly, and a moment of drifting vision whenever he rose from the bed. He assumed it was age, but what struck me was his routine. He sat on the edge of the bed for 25 minutes every morning, checking the news on his phone. His scans later revealed microclots in the small vessels of the brain, tiny silent injuries caused by poor circulation during the morning transition. When he shortened his sitting time and added gentle ankle rolls and shoulder movements before standing, those symptoms disappeared. This shows how something so ordinary, so familiar, can quietly drift into the category of danger without anyone noticing. Your first minutes after waking are a crossroads. Either you activate circulation or you let stillness sabotage it. A few seconds of gentle motion, flexing the toes, rotating the ankles, rolling the shoulders, can be the difference between healthy morning flow and a dangerous stagnation that places the brain at risk. And if simply sitting still can cause this much harm, wait until you hear about the next habit. One that millions of older Americans do every single morning, and almost no one realizes how risky it truly is. 3. Rushing to the bathroom the moment you stand up. Among my older patients across the United States, this is one of the most common and most misunderstood morning habits. Many seniors wake up with urgency, often because of nighttime urination, and the very first thing they do is stand up quickly and rush straight to the bathroom. It feels natural. It feels necessary. But for adults over 60, this simple action creates one of the most dangerous physiological shifts of the entire day. Let me explain what happens inside your body the moment your feet touch the floor. During the night, your blood pressure naturally drops, your heart rate slows, and your circulation becomes steady and quiet. When you suddenly move from lying down to standing, your body must instantly compensate to maintain blood flow to the brain. Younger adults handle this shift without difficulty. But in older adults, the cardiovascular reflexes are weaker, the vessels are stiffer, and the heart takes longer to stabilize. This creates a moment of orthostatic stress, a sudden drop in blood pressure as gravity pulls blood toward the legs. If you move too quickly, the brain is left briefly undersupplied with oxygen, causing dizziness, blurred vision, and instability. And when this moment of vulnerability is combined with the bathroom rush, the risks escalate sharply. Here's why. To urinate, especially after holding urine overnight, your body engages the valva maneuver, a reflex in which you momentarily increase pressure in the chest and abdomen. This action strains the cardiovascular system and forces your heart and blood vessels to fight against increased internal pressure. For someone over 60, this combination, standing too fast, walking with urgency, and then straining, creates a dangerous cascade inside the body. It triggers strokes. The sudden rise and fall of pressure can rupture fragile vessels or destabilize blood flow in areas already affected by aging plaque. Many early morning strokes occur in or near the bathroom where these rapid shifts take place. It forms blood clots. When blood pressure fluctuates harshly, older vessels struggle to maintain smooth flow. Stagnant blood in the legs combined with the internal strain of urination can encourage clot formation. A clot that breaks free during this unstable period can travel upward and block a vessel in the brain within seconds. It places enormous stress on the heart. In seniors, the heart muscle may not respond quickly enough to sudden pressure changes. That lag can deprive the brain of oxygen at precisely the moment it needs stability. I remember a 76-year-old woman from Michigan who came to my clinic after experiencing 2 frightening episodes, brief blackouts each morning right after getting to the bathroom. She thought they were just age catching up. But when we reviewed her routine, the pattern was unmistakable. She jumped out of bed the moment her eyes opened, hurried to the bathroom, and strained. Her blood pressure reading showed sharp drops, followed by sudden spikes. She later learned she had suffered 2 tiny TAs, silent mind strokes, likely triggered by those abrupt morning transitions. This habit feels harmless because it's part of daily life. But for an older body, the first 60 seconds after waking require respect, patience, and gentleness. Your brain and heart need time to adjust before you expose them to strain. Slow down, pause before rising. Give your body a chance to find balance before you step away from the bed. And if you think this bathroom habit is risky, wait until you see the next morning behavior. A common healthy trend many older Americans follow, unaware that it places the brain under even greater stress. If you're still watching and finding these insights valuable, please comment number 1 below to let me know you're here. Now let's keep going with point number 4. 4. Skipping breakfast or taking morning medications on an empty stomach. Among older adults in the United States, this habit has quietly become part of modern morning culture. Many seniors wake up, drink coffee, take their medications, and head into the morning with nothing in their stomach. Some do it because they don't feel hungry, others because they're trying intermittent fasting. And many simply fall into the routine without ever questioning its impact. But as a physician who has treated thousands of older Americans, I can tell you this. For people over 60, starting the day without food is clear as throat one of the most dangerous early morning stressors you can place on the brain. Not eating in the morning doesn't just make you feel weak. It changes your physiology in ways that can trigger strokes and quietly form blood clots long before lunchtime ever arrives. Let me explain exactly what happens. During the night, your body burns through stored glucose to keep your brain functioning during sleep. When you wake up, your brain expects replenishment. But as we age, the liver becomes less efficient at releasing stored glucose. This means older adults are far more vulnerable to morning hypoglycemia, low blood sugar, not dramatic enough to cause fainting, but enough to restrict the brain's access to fuel. And the brain is the most sensitive organ in your body. It has almost no ability to store energy. It needs a steady flow. When it doesn't get that supply, several dangerous things begin to unfold. 1, your blood pressure rises sharply. The body senses low blood sugar as a threat. In response, it releases stress hormones, especially cortisol and adrenaline, to force glucose out of the bloodstream. This hormonal surge tightens blood vessels, which can raise blood pressure to unsafe levels. 2, your blood becomes more prone to clotting. Low glucose alters platelet activity and thickens blood consistency. In older adults, this creates the perfect environment for clot formation. A small clot that forms in the morning combined with dehydration and blood vessel stiffness, can travel upward and block a vessel in the brain. This is why skipping breakfast is linked to a higher risk of ischemic stroke in seniors. And your future self is asking you to act now while you still have the power to change the path ahead. Because if your mornings can quietly increase your risk, imagine how powerfully they can protect you once you finally begin treating them with the respect your age, your brain, and your life deserve. These lessons are meant to inspire you to live fully and authentically. Now, I'd love to hear from you. Take a moment to reflect and share one thing you've learned and plan to apply in your own life. Let's support each other on this journey toward embracing these truths. If you enjoyed this video, please leave a comment with 1. If not, feel free to comment with 0. Your feedback means a lot to us. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to our YouTube channel for more content like this. Thank you for watching, and here's to living life on your own terms.